Hey, what's up, First Period? It's Miss Mac. I'm here to go over your Of Mice and Men Chapter 3 classwork. So if you need to check your work or you haven't done it yet, here you go. All right, so there were some short answer questions. Number one, so the first short answer was, why do George and Lenny have to hide in weed before they come to Soledad? And we got a preview of this in Chapter 1 when George yells at Lenny about it, and then George tells Slim the full story in Chapter 3. So what we learned is that in Weed, which is this town on the California-Oregon border, Lenny sees a girl in a red dress, and we know that he not only is the color red attractive, got my nails done red, just like Curly's wife, but also the dress looks soft, so he goes to pet it, and the girl has this large man trying to touch her. She assumes the worst, obviously, and starts to scream. And George knows that since Lenny isn't too bright, they might just take him to jail or put him in an insane asylum or even kill him, hang him right there, which could potentially happen. So they have to hide in a ditch for hours and hours and hours until they're not looking for them anymore. And it shows like what can happen when Lenny doesn't really know his own strength. He can really get them into trouble, even though he does it accidentally. Okay, so second question. What color is Lenny's pup? Lenny finally got his puppy. It's brown and white, just like I wanted. How does Candy react when his dog gets shot? Carlson finally convinces Candy to put his dog down for the good of the dog, and Candy doesn't really do anything. He just hears it, and then he kind of just turns over on his bunk and stares at the wall. He's really sad. He's had the dog since he was a puppy, so it's a sad moment. And then does Lenny get in trouble after the fight with Curly, and what solution does Slim come up with? Yeah, so Curly finally gets what he wants, he thinks, and fights Lenny, and Lenny doesn't fight back at first, and then he just like destroys Curly's hand. And remember, Curly's a boxer, so like he needs his hands to fight. And if you watch the video clip, it's worth it. Like you just see Lenny smush his hand and just breaks all the bones and the blood. And Curly's like, they can't even get Lenny off of him because Lenny just freezes like he did with the girl in Weed, right? He just grabs and he holds on to her dress because he's scared and he doesn't know what to do. So he does the same thing here. And George is like, get off of him, get off of him. And finally Lenny lets him go. And of course they're afraid they're going to get fired or worse because Curly is the boss's son. It's pretty important. But what Slim does, because now he's heard the story about Lenny, he knows kind of that Lenny doesn't do these things on purpose. He knows that Curly started it. So they're like, if you say you got your hand caught in a machine, because there are a lot of machines on the ranch, could happen totally. Like Candy lost his hand in a machine. It's like, you lost your hand in a machine, and if you want to tell anyone, then we're gonna tell everyone what really happened. So Curly keeps his mouth shut and they take him to the doctor. So a lot of drama in Chapter 3. Then you had to find some quotes. And again, a quote is word for word. Some of you, when you listen to me do this, you just write down what I say. It needs to be from the book, and I put page numbers there to help you. So my example is, even though he's gentle, Lenny doesn't know his own strength. And I have a quote from the book, right, about the girl in Weed. This is George, heard all the yelling, so I comes running, and by that time Lenny's so scared, all he can think to do is just hold on. I socked him, punched him over and over the head with a fence picket. It's like a board, it's crazy, to make him let go. He was so scared, he couldn't let go of that dress. He's so goddamn strong, you know? So again, we see like Lenny he doesn't know what to do. He's very childlike, but very strong. So then you had to find a quote that Lenny is excited to have his puppy. We see that like Lenny doesn't even want to come out of the barn. He sleeps with the puppies. He just is so excited to have them. So he loves animals. He's just like not very gentle. Not his fault. Candy and George come up with a plan to put their dream into action. Again, Candy overhears them talking about their dream. He wants to be a part of it. And so Candy already has some money saved up, unlike Lenny and George. He doesn't have any family, so he's like, hey, I'm old. If I die, I'll leave you my money. And he's like, if you want to let me help, I'll help. Because Candy, he can't do a lot. He has his hand. Here's some kind of like family to belong to, a dream to take a part of. So George thinks about it, and especially because Candy has the money, they're like, oh my gosh, we can buy the ranch. They already have it. They're like ready to go. Put the plan into action. So this is like this moment of just excitement and hope for all of them that their dream's actually going to come true. And then Curly loses the fight to Lenny, as we talked about, and there's a link to the clip there. Lenny just destroys him. It's rough. All right, then you had a close read about a conversation between George and Slim. So this is where you had to read the quote and then answer questions. So George kind of like, again, like confesses almost to Slim, because Slim has this presence, this trustworthy presence, talks about like how he used to treat Lenny. I won't read the whole quote because it's pretty long, but then I highlighted, coordinated with the questions. So the question was like, how did George treat Lenny earlier in the relationship? And it looks like from the quote that he used to like prank Lenny all the time, almost kind of like bully him, play jokes on him. And Lenny like never figured out that they were being mean to him. They're like, oh, George is hanging out with me, yay. And then, so question B was, how does George feel about how he treated Lenny and what told you this? There's a couple of things he says, like, his tone took on the tone of confession. So it's almost like he's confessing, he did something wrong. And also just the way he says it seems like he's guilty about how he treated him. And that's C, like, why does George change it? There's just one prank. They're from Sacramento, which is funny because that's where I'm from. He dares Lenny to jump in the river. Lenny can't swim. And so George has to pull him out of the river. And Lenny's like so grateful that George saved his life. Totally forgets that George was the one who almost made him die. And after that, George feels so guilty that he doesn't mess with Lenny anymore, and he just supports him, and he doesn't make fun of him. And then you have your predictions. And again, we're halfway through the book. That's crazy. It goes so fast. But these predictions, some of them, we're going to figure out what's going on in the second half of the book. Some of these clues that we're getting are going to directly tie to events at the end. So keep your eyes peeled, keep making guesses, and keep reading, and see my chapter 4 preview. Bye.